Hey guys, Sundown right here. This is going to be my chapter review to One Piece 915 Bakura Town. Now the cover page is instantly something that we all wanted to know about. It turns out it was Bellamy, and he's in this town of dyed flags, I think it was, or this village of dyed flags. And he's now a retired pirate, it seems, unless Luffy calls on him or something. And he's become a dyed goods craftsman, so he's just there painting a Jolly Roger on a flag, and he's just basically making up for, well, he's not really making up for past sins, but he's just basically not a pirate anymore. He's not doing anything inherently evil or anything like that. He's just chilling with this old dude and his granddaughter or something like that, and he's just painting shit. So he seems to have found his calling in life at the moment, so that's good for him. I can't wait to see him actually in the story again. So we go back to Wano country. We're in Kuri, in a place called Bakura Town, and it turns out that they're having a sumo wrestling competition. So obviously this chapter is going to be centralized around that Yokozuna called Urashima, and he turns out last chapter he dipped away from O-Kiku because he shit himself when he saw Zoro, and he was like, that Ronin has a really weird aura around him, I'm not going to stay around this guy, I gotta go. So he left. But he's just there kind of really imagining how life would be with O-Kiku, and he's like, I have all the social standing, the fame, the wealth, the food, there's no way she can reject me. And then we see this other guy, this mousy looking guy, and it turns out he's a mouse smile fruit user, so he's a gifter. And he just says, bruh, like, she's from the town of leftovers, all you need to do is, like, because their lives are all meaningless in the eyes of, like, the samurai and us and stuff like that, especially because we're all, like, subordinates of Orochi and Kaido and all this. So you should just burn down her house, you should kill her family, basically make it so that she can't return to the town of leftovers, and then she couldn't survive without you. And I was like, yo, this guy, even his name is Mouseman, and he looks like a waste gash, but he's such a prick, and he's just there like, yeah, you got samurai blood in your veins, you're an elite athlete, you're a national superstar because of your Yokozuna status, you could just go and do whatever you want, otherwise you'll be setting a bad example for everyone of your status and higher. So obviously Urashima, the Yokozuna, he's just like, yeah, I guess you're right, I can definitely do something like that, I can take O-Kiku whenever I want. So he just smacks all this food to the ground, all this precious food which nobody else can find but the samurai and stuff like that. And the old couple which provided him with this offering of food, mostly probably just to placate him and make sure that he doesn't do anything stupid like burn their house down or something. So that Yokozuna then looks at this raccoon, and he calls it a raccoon dog. I think it's not technically a raccoon, but it looks like a raccoon, and he points at it. He's like, bruh, cook me up your pet, I like the taste of raccoon dog meat. And I was like, he's gonna eat rocket raccoon. This dude is a douche, he's a straight douche. So I was already shook at this point. So then we go to this certain residence in Bakura Town, where Gazelle Man has finally actually brought Otama to this guy called Hold'em, Lord Hold'em, and Gazelle Man is just chilling there, and he's wheezing because he's a sprinter, so he's been sprinting for ages. He's not much of an endurance guy though, so he's obviously burnt himself out. And Otama's there trying not to cry, looking at this Hold'em guy, but she's really on the verge of crying. And Hold'em then, being annoyed by Gazelle Man's wheezing, he's like, get the hell out of my place, bro, and you need to work on your endurance. So Gazelle Man in his tights just walks out, and then we see this lion creature looking up, and when I first read this, I was like, what the hell is going on? This frame, this kind of panel looks so weird, and it looked like Hold'em was addressing himself, which he actually was. So Hold'em, we finally see him, he's a lion smile fruit user, and he's one of the Beast Pirates headliners. But he looks like he's eating the devil fruit of the lion devil fruit, in its smile form, and he's got like sharpish teeth, he's got whiskers and everything. But he has on his stomach a lion with a mane, it looks like a black and white fashion, I'm not sure, but it's actually a living lion kind of just coming out of his belt line, and the lion's got arms and everything, it's got paws, and its tongue is just lolling out, and you're just like, what the hell is this? It's almost as if he had a lion fruit, and then they made, like, you know how we had that sword before that had eaten the elephant devil fruit or something like that, and Vegapunk was working on something like that. It looks like that again, but this belt or something has eaten a lion devil fruit, and he's wearing it, but I don't actually think it's that either. So Hold'em looks pretty cool. He's got this black kind of I'm not even sure what type of hat you'd call that. It's almost like a top hat, but it kind of erupts at the top. He's got long flowing black hair, and he's got tattoos much like Kaido, but not as kind of tribal or animalistic. It just looks like suns, almost like my logo actually. Yeah. So obviously Otama is frightened by this, and she does actually cry a bit. And she's like, why the hell does he have a lion coming out of his stomach? And I can't answer that. I'm just like, what the hell? He has a lion coming out of his stomach. And so they're arguing, and the lion on his belt punches him in the jewels. And his men had just stood there like, oh my god, there it is, as if this was a regular thing. So apparently they like his own belt punches him in the nuts every now and then, just because they argue a lot. But this attack actually hurts the guy, the belt as well, which is why I'm convinced that they're actually part of the same. They haven't eaten two devil fruits, and they're just kind of chilling with each other. I think they're actually two people within the same body or some shit like that, because one guy says they both share the same body, so his crotch also belongs to the lion. And I'm just like, I don't know why his stomach has a lion on it. Maybe it's the properties of that fruit. Maybe these smile fruits, because they're engineered, don't work quite as you think, and you don't actually exhibit the power of a lion or something like that. But different things happen because of the mutations of that fruit. So stuff like you get like weird different parts of like body parts of like a zoan fruit or something. So you have a lion suddenly come out from your stomach, but you look like a lion as well. So it's I think it's just really weird, and we're gonna find out more about these smile fruits, and maybe they might have more negative effects than positive effects. So they ask Holden what to do with Otama, and basically the reason why they wanted her, like many people thought, is because she somehow tamed the baboon that they possessed. I think his name is Tihi or something like that, or Hihi, and they're convinced that Otama has a devil fruit that can tame things, or tame monsters or animals or something like that, which would be quite a unique fruit to have against a crew full of monsters, or a crew full of animals. And then we see this flashback of the Tengu guy telling Otama not to use his power in front of anyone, because it might prove useful to them. And he was like, just don't use it, because they're gonna come after you. So she's just like, I'm just really good with animals. And it turns out Holden has actually heard that she pulled something off of her cheek and gave it to this baboon, which is why she was able to tame it. And he's like, okay, get me some pliers, we're gonna test it. I was like, oh shit, this guy, he's crazy. So I have a feeling he's not gonna be like crazy strong, like Luffy and Zoro should be able to mince him, but he's obviously like something's wrong in his head. So then Zoro, Luffy, and O-Kiku, Zoro and Luffy, both with like demonic smiles, they enter through the gates of Bakuro Town, and they just scream. Like Luffy's just there like, Tama, he's just screaming, and he's like, we're here to save you. And obviously he's silenced by O-Kiku. She's like, bitch, what are you doing? Like, we're in the enemy fortress, this is not the place to do that. And Luffy is just like, you know what, I've had enough of this shit. Everybody here is working with the people who kidnapped Otama. That's what O-Kiku says. So he's like, alright, enough of this. Hao Shokuhaki. And he knocks out the people directly in front of him. Obviously, Kaido's mans are kind of lackeys. They're all not very... These aren't the strong guys. And I think even Holden maybe would have had issues if Luffy had unleashed his Hao Shokuhaki like that. But maybe his willpower is a little bit higher. So Zoro's just like making observations. He's like, it doesn't look like anybody here will tell us where Otama is. They all seem to be pretty chill. They don't even look like fighters. Then we get a little bit of a history lesson from O-Kiku, saying that the people who live in this Bakura town have been living here their entire lives until around 20 years ago. Well, actually, it was until around 20 years ago that this place was like a really energetic town, and it stood at the base of the castle, which was Odin's castle, I assume. But then Orochi's subordinates began to take over like houses that they liked or that they felt they could take for themselves, and they slowly but surely pushed people out, like merchants and tradesmen, and only kept the people that were really necessary. So probably they kept some guy for sake or something like that. They kept some guy for food. They kept some guy that could sharpen swords or something like that, or make swords or something like that. But everybody else is pushed out of the town, and that's what basically Bakura Town has become. So suddenly we then see a samurai, not a samurai, we see a sumo wrestler just being flung straight towards Luffy, and he notices and he just catches him. And I thought that was pretty cool how he just catches him by kind of I'm not sure what they call the attire of a sumo wrestler, but he catches him by the belt essentially. And Zoro's just there like, something seems to be going on. And I was like, good observation. So Luffy catches this sumo, and he's just got this huge handprint on his stomach, and he's obviously been destroyed by someone who is a very proficient sumo wrestler. So you'd assume it was Urashima. And he's just there wrecking man in this tournament. And obviously we know he's a Yokozuna, so he's a very, very proficient and efficient, sumo wrestler. So they're having this competition at this point in time with Luffy, O-Kiku, and Zoro arriving in town, where anybody who can take down Urashima will earn 500 gold, which apparently is a lot of money. So everyone's there willing to test their luck and willing to break bones, and they are breaking bones. I mean, like, they make mention that there's 88 bones in total which have been broken by Urashima, and they're all like shocked by how insanely strong he is. And they're not shocked, they're just entertained by how monster like this Yokozuna Urashima is. And obviously the women in the crowd are going crazy because this Yokozuna is insanely strong, and that's all that matters really. If he's strong, it doesn't matter if he's good looking or if he has a good heart or an honorable heart, something like that. It's just that he's insanely strong and he's rich. So while he's fighting, he sees O-Kiku and he goes ape. He's like, oh my god, you've actually come to see me fight. So it turns out she was actually invited to come watch him fight, and she's made a mistake by actually being there. And he's like, oh, you've decided to be my bride. And she's like, oh my god, oh shit. And obviously him announcing that someone's there to be his bride turns all the women in the crowd against O-Kiku, Luffy, and Zoro. And the commentator's just like, oh my god, it turns out someone sworn themselves to Urashima already. So it's just what a lucky girl, and everyone else is jealous. And she's there hiding behind Zoro, which I thought was pretty cute. But and she's just there like, he decides everything on his own. And obviously she talks about how he invited her before. She thinks about how he invited her before. So Urashima is just there like, boys, and he calls to his apprentices, I assume, and he's just like, go grab the girl, escort her to me, I'm gonna go marry this chick. So Luffy's just there getting annoyed like, hey, we're here to find Otama, tell me where the boss of this town is, I'm gonna kick his ass, she should be with him. So obviously, like I said, the women in the crowd are just cussing at O-Kiku. They're like, oh my god, she's like, she annoys us so much, this vexing lady has already taken Urashima. And then we just see this one sumo, one of Urashima's men, just grab O-Kiku and suddenly run away with her. And I was actually pretty annoyed by this. I was like, oh come on man, like you can't just introduce O-Kiku as like this female samurai and then have some random low ass friggin' sumo wrestler just decide, yeah, I'm gonna take her. And Luffy's there screwing at Zoro like, why did you just let them take O-Kiku? And I was like, Luffy, why did you let them take O-Kiku? And he's Zoro just like, they're like, I don't want to cut down a naked man, it just seems a bit weird. And everybody in the town then notices that O-Kiku is that girl from the tea house outside of Bakura town, and they're just like, oh my god, she's such a low class wretch, what is she doing in the city, this is so vulgar, we can't have someone so inferior. And it reminds you kind of the World War II thing, where they had like Untermenschen, which was the people less than human, you know, the subhumans. And it kind of gives off that same vibe of like there being these people who view themselves as so elitist that everyone else beneath them is just not human anymore. And Urashima's just there like, hey, you're all low class to me, I could have you all killed in the eyes of a samurai. So obviously he has samurai blood running through his veins. He's like, your lives are all insignificant, it doesn't matter who I decide to like marry or stuff like that, I could kill you all at any moment's time, so I'm just going to do whatever I want with O-Kiku. So then O-Kiku's just there like, been slightly triggered by what he just said, and she's like, I don't know of anyone that I would refer to or that you refer to as lower class. So basically saying that you're chatting shit, no one I know is lower class. She pulls out her sword and slices off his top knot. I was shook because it's a very, very big, like, it's a huge form of disrespect from like any of the samurai-esque or samurai-themed movies and animes that I've watched or manga, for their top knots to get cut off. And that, like, the way that everyone reacted just kind of proves that when his top knot gets cut off, and his reaction as well. And then she just said like, the only vulgar thing is your heart. I was like, oh, O-Kiku. I was like, yo, this is crazy. So like everybody's like completely shocked and appalled by the fact that the Yokozuna's top knot has just been cut off by a female samurai, and Luffy's just there like bawling. He's just like, oh my god, this is so awesome, Kiku is so cool. And Zoro's happy because he I think he already knew, and I think Zoro and Luffy both kind of already knew how strong Kiku was just by sensing her power through probably Kenbun Shoku no Haki. And Zoro's just there like, it's too early for us to be calling out the boss, let's clean up the mess that we're in right now. So they're gonna fight against these guys. I think Urashima is definitely gonna get his ass whooped, and that should attract the attention of Urashima of Lord Hold'em, and then they're gonna find Tama. So Luffy, this is kind of where he needs to go in ham. Zoro needs to go ham as well. But I really want to see O-Kiku do a lot of the work here. I just want to see her go in because I really like O-Kiku. I think she's really cool, and if she's anywhere near as powerful as she could be, it would be another insanely interesting female character to have in One Piece, especially because we've never actually seen a really strong swordswoman in One Piece. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, like, we have Tashigi, but I don't really class it as like up there. But this is a female samurai, man. I mean, like, how much more cool can you get? How much cooler than that can you get? So that was it. that's pretty much everything that happened in this chapter. Yep. So let me know what you guys thought of the chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you most likely tomorrow with my Hero Academia review. So I'll see you guys in a bit.